First
No,
invites.
I thought it would take you longer.
No, it's pretty quick. I already copied them. I
Right,
just had to send it. But yeah, hi, I'm your host, Caleb.
Hi, I'm Seth. I talk stories with this.
Yeah, we're a little... So things are a little different. So
Yeah.
normally we're only on 2 platforms. Normally just YouTube and Twitch.
Yeah.
We've expanded because I've noticed that we've gotten a bit of an audience on I've got a bit of an audience on Facebook.
You.
I've got a bit of an audience on Facebook. One of which is your mom still. Your mom loves my videos.
God, I hope she likes my friends.
Doesn't mean she has to like my content.
That is true.
Like, if you don't like my content, say something. Like,
then
as long as you can tell me in a creative way of, like, what I can do to improve it, feel free to say so. But yeah, she likes my content. So Facebook is now one of the places where we're live right now. And then Kick is a newer streaming service website that's kind of like Twitch, that a lot of Twitch people are switching over to. We're not leaving Twitch yet, so we're on Twitch, but we're also adding Kick to our options. Here, I kind of don't like how... You want to come this way? I'm kind of... Oh, you're trying to show off that? Is that why you're sitting this way?
Well, remember, I was like, hey, if I sit where I usually sit,
Yeah.
then I'll be in the way.
So I decided to not... I guess now it's not subtle if we point it out.
Well, yeah.
My books.
He has books.
I write books. But we're not here to talk about that.
We're not here to talk about those books. We're here to talk about that book.
A Star Wars book.
Yeah. You know, like in the name of our show.
Yeah. Then again, we talk about whatever we feel like.
That's true. We do meander a bit.
This is because this is the only podcast on our network so far.
Yeah.
Although we do want to do other podcasts. We just haven't gotten around to, especially one in particular.
Yep.
Even though we announced it
almost
a year ago now.
Almost a year ago, and then
To be fair, one of the co-hosts that was supposed to be part of that has basically dropped off off Earth in terms of being reachable for us.
Yeah.
So I mean, so in the meantime, though, we are gonna. What have you been up to this week? I guess because let's do our regular podcast format.
I haven't really been up to much. I've just kind of been working this week. Unfortunately, some of the days I've had to walk to work.
Yeah, you sometimes do, as you.
Yes.
Thankfully,
normally it's not.
Yeah.
That as bad as it has.
But it's been hot.
It has been hot.
Hopefully you've been taking some water with you on these walks, because it is bad.
If I can't, so you know that like big glass that I have.
Mm-hmm.
Well, whenever I can't take the water with me, I just fill that up to the top and then drink all of it.
Yeah, by the time you get there, yeah. Yeah, I've had some headaches these past couple days because, you get these migraines from just being out in the heat, and if you just happen to not drink enough water that day, you're done for.
Yeah.
And so, because I know you can get migraines, I know you can get nauseous. I've had had a friend of mine be like, "Oh, I'm feeling nauseous today." I'm like, "Did you drink some water today? Because it has been
beating down.
Because the heat here will kill you."
Yes.
It's been 90 something usually for the past few days, with it feeling like 100 because of humidity.
Yep.
So it's been bad.
Gotta worry about that heat stroke.
Gotta be careful out there. Everybody be safe. Even if you're not from where we are, I know the heat's bad everywhere right now.
Yeah. Drink your water.
Drink your water. Yep. I'm not being a good example right now. I've got 2 sodas and...
I have one as well, but I'm not planning to fucking do anything today. I'm gonna stay inside.
Yeah, I think after this, I'm helping Scotty around the office a little bit, and then I'm not really doing anything today besides that, and then tomorrow, well, I got D&D tonight, but that's at the house.
Mm.
Because it's all on Discord for us on that one.
Yeah.
And then tomorrow is when I'm probably going to go out because we're going to go see the new Indiana Jones. So, but this week I've been just reading books. Because I've been having to catch up on all the books that I have early copies of.
Mm.
Been reading a couple Disney books that I got. One is a spin-off for that app Mirrorverse.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the first book in that collection of books that they're gonna make spin-offs for the game, so that way you can kind of get some world building of that game, because the premise is both the classic Disney stuff happens, but there's an alternate universe where some changes are, where there's these creatures and there's like an evil mirror involved that makes these creatures and can do evil things. And
okay.
And the first book that they're releasing, it's not out yet, but I've been reading it, is speaking of your mom.
Hey, Ma.
But this first book is the Snow White story,
All
but
right.
within this universe. And so it's very Kingdom Hearts in that it's all the Disney characters are coming together.
Mm.
And like Mickey's in charge of this group called the Guardians that are trying to protect the Mirrorverse.
Okay.
And so so far members of the Guardians include Tiana, Sully, Stitch, Hades.
Okay.
Because even Hades is realizing, nah.
Like from Disney's Hercules.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's got, so far in the book, he has some of the best lines. Because, like, they're teaching Snow, like, the grander Mirrorverse and all that, because basically bad things happen in this version of Snow White to, like, she gets attacked by these crystal creatures that are the main monsters in the Mirrorverse game.
Okay.
But they look like the dwarves,
Ooh.
and then it turns out the real dwarves have been kidnapped somewhere, and most likely the evil queen took them, and so now the Guardians team up with Snow and are kind of guiding her and trying to help her. Oh, and Rapunzel. Rapunzel's also a member of the Guardians team. They mentioned Belle is also a previous member, because I assume this takes place after some of the game events, but I haven't played the game to know. But yeah,
I haven't either. Sorry, that's not usually in the category of games that I play.
I mean, it's a fight. It's a fighting game from what I understand, because it's from Kabam. It's from Kabam, which I like their type of games. They make good fighting games for the phone.
Oh, it's a mobile game. Okay.
But yeah, the book has been pretty good so far. And then the other book I've got to finish reading is Thor Quest, which is like a young Thor and friends story with a chapter from Fendral's perspective, which I like. I actually like Fendral in the MCU. It's an MCU connected, obviously.
Okay.
Well, Marvel connected. It's not MCU specific, but it's Marvel connected. So it's Marvel Thor. I like Marvel Fandral. He does not get the love he deserves. In the MCU especially. They killed the man.
Oh, well, that might explain why.
They killed all. I mean, to be fair, they killed all of the heroes of that group except for I forget her name now. But yeah, they killed Fandral and all them. The Heroes 3.
Yep.
Because they did that in Ragnarok.
Mm.
Spoilers for a film that's 5 years old now, because it was 2018. And then the last book is one I just got, and it's actually on topic in that it's Star Wars, and it's the New Inquisitor, Rise of the Red Blade. I got my audiobook copy in the emails, so I'm excited to dive into that as well, because new Star Wars book.
Yay.
And then I just requested, because I do NetGalley,
yeah,
as well as reaching out to my contacts at Del Rey for Star Wars books, but I do NetGalley as well for non-Star Wars books. Like I recently did a review of a George R. R. Martin Wild Cards book, which Wild Cards, my first Wild Cards book, and it's one that I've always been interested in because I'm like, I like George R. R. Martin. I've never tried a Wild Cards book, and then I tried this one, and I'm like, oh, this is pretty good. Now, George doesn't actually write any of the stories; he kind of edits them, and he's made the world. It's a anthology type of
Yeah.
series. But I like the series now after that, and I'm definitely gonna check out more of them because it's superheroes, sci-fi, but also like it's almost like steampunky to a
Mhm.
degree because it starts off in the 50s and goes all the way to it's very classic like uh, pulp fiction type stuff.
Mm.
Um, so I like that, and so I'll probably check out more of them after that. But yeah, I got Inquisitor now, and so I got to enjoy that. But NetGalley, I also requested. Speaking of Star Wars books, I requested Crimson Climb because that's on NetGalley right now, which is the Kira book that's coming out.
Oh, okay.
I think we
I
talked.
don't know
I
why
think I think we talked about it when it was announced.
Yeah.
Where it's just gonna from E.K. Johnston,
Okay.
the one who did the Queen's trilogy books.
All right.
So that one
was
I
like,
yeah.
We for a moment I forgot who Kira was.
The leader of Crimson Dawn.
I know. I'm like,
At least,
Kira,
yeah,
you're important, but I don't know why.
Hans X,
Oh yeah.
Emilia Clarke, the Queen of Dragons.
Oh man.
But yeah, that's what I've been up to most of this week is that, and then writing my D&D campaign that I'm working on with some buddies. My Acquisitions Incorporated game that I'm working on. We were gonna play tomorrow, but life happened, and so now we've rescheduled, and it's the first session's not happening till mid-July.
All right. It happens.
Yeah, it happens. And honestly, it's a game that I was expecting would be like once a month type sessions that we'd be planning. We wouldn't be doing like weekly sessions
Mm-hmm.
because like most of the people in this are content creators like
Yeah.
me.
So they are very busy.
Yeah, everybody's kind of got their own schedule that they're working with, and then of course you got people who, even if they're not doing content creation, they've got their own lives outside of
Yeah.
playing games with the content creators. So it's like, oh, okay, yeah.
This scheduling is the hardest thing to
I mean,
overcome.
plus on top of that, this weekend is July 4th weekend,
Yep.
which here in America, for our non-American audiences, it's a big deal, and
Yeah.
people go out of town, and that's what exactly happened with one of my players, is they're going out of town. They're out of town right now, actually. And they'd be out of town until the end of the weekend. So, not that surprising that we couldn't do this weekend, and then one of my other players, Matt, he's not going to be available the next weekend, so we couldn't do it the next weekend. And
Yep.
and we were looking at Sundays, and then we were like, okay, well, Sundays are apparently not working. How about Fridays? Oh, well, nope, can't do Fridays for these
You just
next
gotta
few
pick
weeks.
the day.
And so we just eventually found a weekend day that worked for everybody for now until something comes up.
Yep.
But that's just all part of, if you've never played D&D, that's part of the process.
Yeah.
Is you're gonna run into the what day do we play?
What day do we play, and what time do we start and end on that day?
Yeah, and ideally for this game in particular, we want to try to at least have 4 hours in, which that's your standard D&D
Yeah.
time. But I know at least for
Unless
Tuesday,
you're trying to blitz it, in which
Yeah.
case it might be 2 hours.
which is usually our Tuesday,
Yeah.
2 to 3 hours is the Tuesday night game. But that's because we start late and then people have to work the next day, so we end early.
Yep.
Usually start 7:30 to 8, end 10:30.
Yeah.
So it happens.
Days where we get lucky.
But I've been enjoying creating the Acquisitions game. I've got so many good things,
You
and I've
showed
shown
me-
you stuff
You showed me like a picture
of one of my main
of, like,
antagonists
the
that I'm
main
building.
Antagonist. And my immediate reaction is, I don't trust that.
Yeah, because I'm definitely going for gonna be attractive to the girlies vibes with my villain. So I'm going like Loki inspiration with, but like he's an elf. So
Yeah.
elves are always
rem-
beautiful on top of that. So at least in most fantasy. So like
I remember
add that type of beauty on top of it, and
I remember you and I were watching a show because that's what we do while we wait for like the
yeah, we'll
Tuesday
watch
games.
something.
And I remember one of the characters like we were discussing, and I'm like, I think it was one of the Scream movies, and
Oh,
I think
yeah.
I said like being attractive does not remove you from the suspect list. If anything, it just incriminates you more to me.
That might have been for Scream 6
Yeah.
because I think that was specifically for the new boyfriend that you were commenting on, the neighbor,
Yeah.
the hot guy, as they dubbed him in the movie
Yeah.
until we learned his name, hot guy. I think it was for hot guy though. I think it was 6.
Yeah.
I still need to get you through the show now because the show is
Yeah.
first 2 seasons are the best television in my mind,
Mm.
and then season 3 is okay. Season 3 falls off a bit. I mean, they tried to go back to like the Ghost Fate because you already saw in I showed you the first episode
Yeah.
of the TV show. They go away from the class, like they keep the themes, but they don't keep the imagery.
Yeah.
So you don't have the ghost-faced mask. You have the Brandon James masks, which is like its own thing, which I don't think they've shown it yet, but it's like, but they make it clear that it's its own lore and
Yeah.
everything. Because it's also not Woodsboro. It's
It's a
not.
different city.
It's not. It's not California. It's California. It's not New York. It's not Ohio, which is where the college takes place for 2, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Because we looked it up for Scream 2.
Yeah.
I think it's Ohio is where the college is. But it's not. It's like its own. It's Lakewood. It's Lakewood
Yeah.
is where the TV show takes place for the first 2 seasons. But they got their own lore and everything, and then they leave you off on such a cliffhanger with Scream 2, with season 2, and then we never get it resolved. Because, well, season 2 didn't leave the cliffhanger. That's the worst part. So season 2 answered pretty much every question you could have had.
Mm-hmm.
And then they did a Halloween special, which then ended with a cliffhanger that was involved with the main plots from the first 2 seasons. Because the Halloween special, for the most part, is filler. It's exactly that. It's a Halloween special that's doing its own thing. And then they cut away in the final scene to connect to stuff in the main storyline. And then they're like, big cliffhanger. And then we never get an answer to it because the show gets canceled. And then they revive it on MTV. But it's not a continuation of the show. It's its own thing. So it's still Scream the series, but it's not related to the first 2 seasons in any way whatsoever.
All right.
And then they try to bring back the imagery of the first of the classic Scream, so they bring back the ghost face mask and all that, and it's like, I get why you felt that was the issue, but the show wasn't like, first 2 seasons were great because they built their own lore while still keeping like they kept the themes of Scream, which is like a meta study of horror, specifically the slasher genre, within whatever medium it's being presented in. So, like, in the case of the movies, it's always like horror film, classics. What's a slasher? It's the first film.
Yeah.
Second film, what's a slasher sequel? Like, what is a slasher sequel? Third one is, what's a slasher trilogy? Fourth one is, what's a slasher reboot? Fifth one is, what's a slasher requel? So the reboot sequel, which and usually these films are relevant to when they're coming out. Like, the first one is relevant because by this point there had been so many slashers. I mean, it's the late 90s. So we've already gotten adjusted to slashers because they've been around since the 70s. And like a lot of people thought slashers were dying by then because, like, Freddy films weren't. I mean, Nightmare on Elm Street Wes Craven also weren't doing so well compared to what they were when they were first coming out in the 80s. And I mean, and Wes Craven was starting to get meta even in that franchise, and he's like, you know what? I'll just make a different franchise to be my meta franchise, and that's what Scream is. And then, but with requels and 5, I think it was, that's what I predicted it was going to be about before 5 even came out. And so because they announced 5, and I was like, well, what are they going to talk about? Because they always talk about something.
Yeah.
And I think I said on the Cult Movie Cantina, I said it's got to be requels. I didn't put that terminology.
Yeah.
I didn't know what terminology to really call it. But I basically said it's going to be that type of film because what films were big at that time for slasher films? The Halloween reboot sequel where they, with the new ones, the new trilogy that came out, even what else was doing it at that time? I think Texas Chainsaw also did that.
So yeah.
So I mean, it was just kind of.
Oh, you've jogged my memory about a funny scene from the Texas Chainsaw reboot.
But yeah, it was just a big thing. It's just a big thing at that time because a lot of requels were coming out for slashers where they were creating soft reboots, but also sequels. And so I predicted that for Scream 5 that's what it was going to be. Oh, and then Scream 6, I had no idea where they were going to go, and they were like franchises.
Also, other thing that I've done this week.
Yeah, what else have you been up to this week?
I went and essentially did a review. Because I remember we recently finished watching the new Tekken thing, right?
Yeah, we watched that Tekken, or what was it called? Tekken Origins or something like that?
Something like that.
Where it's the story of Tekken 3. It's very shortened.
It's the bullet points of Tekken 3.
It's the bullet points because it's 6 episodes, about 25, 30 minutes each.
Yeah.
And even with them providing the bullet points, I was still confused about some things.
Yes.
Because I was like, why are we doing a montage for him meeting some of his best friends? Why are we not actually having scenes of that? And
I went and I found a good Tekken lore video, so I'm all up to date because Tekken 8, the trailer for that dropped.
Yeah.
But I was like, I'm dealing with a 20-year franchise.
Yeah.
Because Tekken's been around for a long time, and it's a consistent timeline for the most part. And it's fucking crazy.
Oh, I'm not surprised.
But that's not why we're here.
I mean, we're just talking about our weeks for now. Because I think with the manga, we're gonna fly through that because it's.
They brought back dinosaurs to make super soldiers. That is a canon Tekken event.
Dinosaurs in a lot of Japanese pop culture has been a big thing the past couple years. Because not only have dinosaurs been brought into Tekken, I'm not a big Naruto, Boruto, whatever fan, but they brought that dinosaur into Boruto, and that was all over TikTok for a while. And my sister watches that stuff, so I had to confirm with her. I'm like,
did they bring dinosaurs into Naruto?
Sasuke fights one in prison. It's like a velociraptor type, and so but it's not just it's I forget the lore behind it, but it's not just a dinosaur. It's an actual sentient being.
Yeah.
And so Sasuke full on has a fight with it, and so I think actually Tekken 8, it actually connects to Tekken 8 because Tekken does these really weird crossovers all the time. And
the Street Fighter events are canon to Tekken.
Yeah.
But it's they're in the same world but in different neighborhoods. So
one of my mutuals and friends and my comic book artist Colton, he brought up on his TikTok because he does a lot more. If you're really into anime and mangas and stuff like that, check out my friend. I'll get the name of the TikTok in a couple minutes, but he brought up in one of his videos, he was like, since Tekken does these out there like crossovers, they should do one with Naruto and bring in the Velociraptor.
Tekken already has a Velociraptor.
But now they already have one, so it's already.
They've had one since Tekken 3?
Yeah.
4? His name is Alex.
Alex?
Yes.
Alex the Velociraptor.
Alex the Velociraptor. And he fights Roger Jr.
That's like some like
a kickboxing kangaroo.
It's Whole Grain Coltrane.
Mm.
If you want to follow my friend, it's so whole WHOLE grain, Cole COLE train.
Whole Grain Coltrane should be a character in Tekken.
Tekken has the weirdest.
There you go. So there you go. So Colton, petition for Whole Grain Coltrane to be a character. Design it after you, because you're a really buff guy. So like, to have him design it after you, and like, because Colton is buff. So. Vegan from West Virginia. Yeah, Whole Grain Coltrane. Like it's the most awesome name ever.
Admittedly, a very cool aspect of Tekken is that every character speaks like their native language.
Yeah. And
all of them, for some reason, understand each other.
It's like that's funny. I watched a skit that was about how that's the same thing in Star Wars, though, of like how everybody just understands every language just about in Star Wars, but they'll speak in their own language, but they'll understand somebody else's.
Yeah.
So like, you'll be talking to a Hutt in Basic, and then the Hutt will talk back to you in Huttese, and you'll know exactly what they're saying in return most of the time. And I think, and it's even been canonized that Jabba understands Basic, but he just has his droid translate as like a I'm in charge of this situation. So
my favorite example is in Legends.
Oh yeah, in Legends.
Okay.
Scotty's over there, by the way.
Yeah.
That mic's off right now. If you want to hit the 1, it's mic 1. So if you hit the red light. Yep, that one.
Yeah, sorry. Now I'm here. Okay, so my weird. I'm in your position in our show. Odd. Anyway, my favorite Jabba speaking Basic story is from Legends, which used to be canon because it's from Shadows of the Empire.
Oh yeah.
And Vader comes to Jabba and looking for Luke or whatever. And Jabba's like, Bijara Mobata, and whatever in Huttese. And Vader's like, speak Basic. And Jabba goes, okay, my bad. Don't want to piss off the Dark Lord of Sith. I mean, it was like instant. It was like, he didn't, no accent, no nothing. He was just Basic.
Yep. And I think it's been canonized that it's still the same way, that Jabba can speak Basic. He
Sure. Oh, yeah.
not to.
I get it. Like, those old school Italian monsters who only speak Italian.
Yeah.
Like in Godfather, I'm going to speak Italian to Michael.
Yeah. It keeps everybody else that's lower beneath them in their place and kind of separates them from.
It's funny at work. I work with some what I would call nerd guys, like I am, and we've got a new guy who's a younger guy who's a different kind of nerd. And when we talk the old school nerd stuff, my buddy Tony will lean over to me and look to the other guy and go like, "Hold on a minute, I'm going to speak nerd to Scotty," and then we talk about whatever we want to talk about, just like in Godfather. It makes me laugh.
Yeah.
I do have Star Wars news.
Oh, okay. Because we couldn't find anything really going on.
It's not that. I mean, it's.
I mean, we talk about the littlest things.
Right. So I want to bring this up because as some of you may know, and this audience may not know, but from the Cult Movie Cantina, you may know us, that I own a toy store.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And so.
Oh yeah, I know what you're gonna talk about because I saw you post that.
All right.
So this is Toy Star Wars news.
So this is Toy Star Wars. This is a news story. It's not really news, but it's a news story. So, Star Wars toys first came out in 1978, and they made a run from 78 to 85. And that last year of runs, the Star Wars, there was no movie, so the sales were going down.
Yep.
And so Kenner was trying to come up with all of these kind of gimmicks to like make sure kids would buy them. And the last thing they settled on was coins. these Power of the Force coins. Each character had a coin.
Yep.
And that was, so 85 is like nearly 40 years ago now. And a church group in Tennessee found a case of Obi-Wan figures from 1985 with the coins, which are valuable. They are minty fresh because they're just out of the case. There are 50 of them. And so the story goes, someone got them and they donated them to the church. I imagine someone got them on clearance because back then they were like, $1 a piece kind of thing.
Yeah, plus it's old Ben.
It's old. They're all old Ben. Ewan McGregor wouldn't be Obi-Wan Kenobi for another 15 years.
So an old Ben is probably not the most popular for kids to get.
That's true. No one ever wanted an Alec Guinness figure. I did. He was always the grandpa in my toy collection.
I had one. I had an old Ben in my toy collection.
But so there's 50 of them, and they were given to this church to give away for like kids parties or games, whatever churches do.
Churches do the little
here's
a prize
here's
for
a prize.
whatever.
Yeah.
But the church took the donation and said, "Okay, we'll do that," and then they just put it in in the closet. Cut to 40 years later, near about 40 years later, they found them. And they were like, "Oh wait, they have some value," and so they sold them to the Cincinnati Toy Museum and Buying Center, and so they posted the picture of these beautiful 50 of them, beautiful Obi-Wans with coins. I'm so jealous. I never find. I mean, look, owning a toy store, I get cool stuff. I get cool. I never get this. This never just pops in the door. But their tweet was, or their Instagram message was, new to our museum, an incredible find. Mid to late 80s overstock Star Wars Power of the Force figures weren't easy to sell. Several years after Sir Alec Guinness gave his legendary performance as Old Man, kids prefer other action figures over an old man with a bonus coin. Absolutely true. This particular treasure was donated to a church to distribute to children, but ended up in storage and remained there until it was unearthed and sold us to display at our museum. We'll be keeping it all together as a set to preserve the history and story while on display.
So,
all they need
Star
is
Wars
one.
toy history.
All they need is one. They don't need 50.
No.
They need to sell me a couple.
Yeah. But good part of Star Wars toy history is now preserved.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm glad. So next time I go to Cincinnati, I'm definitely going to hit the museum and visit those old men's.
I mean, I know they do the coin thing again when Revenge of the Sith comes out, because I've got a Revenge of the Sith coin.
Yeah, they did coins. They did coins again in the 2000s, and I think the 2010s they did them. They do them every now and then.
Yeah.
But like that first set of Power of the Force coins are just beautiful and expensive. I have a couple, and even back when I first bought them, they were pricier than I wanted to back in the early 2000s, late 90s, I guess.
Yeah.
But all that stuff is cool. But yeah, that's the only Star Wars news I have.
Yeah. Hey, it's still cool.
Absolutely. So I had no new movie. Ahsoka's in 6 weeks, so
yeah, Ahsoka's coming up.
Day before my birthday. So
yeah, it's right around. I mean, we're already. This is the first episode of July.
Oh, I do want to talk about. So San Diego Comic-Con's next week.
Yep.
And everyone's pulled out.
Oh.
Lucasfilm's not doing anything. Marvel's not doing anything. Disney, none of Disney.
Well, the writer's strike is still going on, so.
Right, yeah, but you don't need a writer for that. That's not. That's a different kind of writer.
A lot of the stuff they're working on is on hold because of it.
No, but they have stuff in the can. There's stuff that they could show, but I think it's more writer strike and the actor strike coming up is part of that. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, it's a part.
But
I'm not saying it's the whole.
But like Disney doesn't have to because they have D23 and Star Wars Celebration, and it's like what's happened to E3.
So Comic-Con's the new E3.
Right. It's like, well, we can do our own streaming thing, or we can do our own con or whatever. And so we should save our best content for that.
I think at the same time, though, Comic-Con doesn't have the problems E3 had, where E3 was starting to be more and more disorganized.
Oh, no. See, and SDCC is very organized. Don't get me wrong. But I think the heyday of it being the pop culture mecca that it is, I think it's starting to wane.
Well, on top of that, almost everywhere has a Comic-Con now.
Yeah, well, yeah, there's that. But, like, San Diego still was the show. Hall H is a thing. You see everything in Hall H, but not anymore. So I'm curious where
the future of.
Yeah, next year will be like next year. There shouldn't be any strikes next year. Hopefully they'll figure it out by then.
Yeah.
The city of Los Angeles has gotten involved to try to make the studios negotiate.
Try to make the
Yeah, they're trying to get the studios to negotiate, but because it's the studios who are not negotiating, they're like, "This is our offer, and this is all we're going to get." I was like, "Well, no, you're not going to have writers," and so they're looking at
I've been watching Adam Conover because he's one of the leads.
He is very vocal.
Well, he's one of the leaders.
Yeah,
and so I've been watching him and that's how I've been keeping up with what's going on. And he was just on CNN and he called out David Zaslav by name, going like, he's made this much in the past year. And it's like, that's why writers are asking for more, because
and they're not asking for a lot. In fact, it's funny, the studios have lost a lot of money in stock value over the last 6 weeks, or this thing has been going on, 2 months almost. And what they've lost in value is less than what the writers asked for.
Yep.
And the studios still are just like, no, that's all right. We'll make it back up. It's not that big of a deal. I mean, they're just callous.
I'm surprised it hasn't gone the way the last one went, where one of the studios caved in separately, because the studio can choose to just cave separately and make a deal on the side and go.
The shady one on this one is the Directors Guild, because they're the one who are like, we're solidarity, but like, are you? Because they're the ones who have been real negotiating with the studios. So directors get better deals, especially in film, than they do in TV. And so,
and they're trying to make it to, I mean, one of the big things the Writers Guild wants is to make sure on TV shows that writers, that they aren't there to write the thing and then get fired before the season's out.
Well, so in the old days, the way television worked, you worked on 24 episodes of a season if you didn't get canceled, and then you had a hiatus and you come back for another 24. Well,
also you were still on, even during filming you stayed, because
you were there, but you were there for the productions for the 24 episodes.
Yeah. Now you're just there for the writers' room, and then you're
you're there for the writers' room and then you're out, because they don't want you on set anymore. And so that's a big problem. But also now it's like episodes are 10 instead of 24, and so the residuals are cut in half. And there's even like the worst stuff is like, so.
Well, even on top of that, the residuals are less than half because streaming services.
Well, that's what I was about to get into. So Warner Brothers just recently rebranded HBO Max into Max.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons why they did that is there were some writers' contracts that got bonuses for having stuff streamed on HBO. Well, now I don't have an HBO, so I can run it, and I don't have to pay you.
Yep.
And that's just shady and wrong. And the new generation out there listening, and going to be the future leaders of all this stuff. This is not how you treat human beings.
Yeah.
And so, especially creatives.
And
creatives don't want a lot; they just want to live. I mean,
and those contracts that are for streaming sites, anyways, were built on the idea of YouTube type of streaming, not streaming service, because streaming services weren't really.
Yeah, the promise 8 years ago was that, hey guys, we're just going to show old stuff. We're not going to do new stuff. This is old stuff, and we're going to make it right for everybody. And then if we do new stuff, we're going to pay you more on the front end, which they did, because they didn't know. Now we know how it works, and so we have a baseline to how we can pay people. And the studio's like, we still want to do stuff, and we're not going to tell you our numbers. Like Netflix is notorious about they don't tell you anything.
Their cues,
Yeah, the
New Witcher just dropped, and I'm curious if they'll say anything.
Well, Kevin Smith is a prime example. He did He-Man Revelations. Yep. And was told, he didn't tell the numbers. He was like, Netflix was like, here, you're getting another season. So they did well enough to get another season, but they didn't tell him any numbers. And so, you can have a number one, or you can see on the list number one in the
the top 10. Yeah,
but the guy who made that doesn't know what that really means. Is it 10 people? Is it 1 million people? Is it 100 million people? What is it? And Netflix is like,
with people dropping Netflix now because of Netflix's greed.
Netflix is being shady, and but see, the thing is that they'll lead the pack, and the rest of them will do the same thing, and then you got nowhere to go. So it's basically what they're trying, and
they're testing the waters to see how people are going to react.
And there's a lot of testing going on too, because by the end of the year, Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN will be one app.
Which I kind of don't. The Hulu and Disney one I've been expecting for a while,
right?
Because because Disney owns 60% of Hulu.
Yeah, and they're trying to buy the rest of it. Yeah, they really want all of Hulu.
So I could see them taking their 60% share, bringing it all to Disney.
Yeah, because I think Comcast owns the last of it, whatever.
Yeah. So I don't mind. I mean, most of the stuff I watch is stuff that's Disney produced technically, anyways, on Hulu. Like,
since we're talking about this, can I talk about something adjacent real quick?
Yeah.
Because I mean, we won't cover it on our show.
yeah, I mean this is while it's a Star
Seth's
Wars
looking
podcast,
with an evil eyes, like there's no Star Wars talk. What are you doing?
yeah, no, yeah,
It's
he's
fine.
used to this because we.
All right, so
I'm curious as to what you have to say.
all right, so
The benefit of not talking to hear what other people have to say.
So, Warner Bros. Is in a mess.
Yeah.
They're in a crazy mess. The
How
thing,
so? 'Cause,
they got a new CEO. There was Zagoff came in and did he's the one who gutted and changed their release schedule because they were bleeding money.
Removed all animation pretty much from HBO.
Yeah, HBO. I mean, they're like, we can't pay these people this, and then they stopped a bunch of projects that were already completed, like ready to go.
Yeah,
And then
like
it's like,
Scoop 2 was finished.
Scoop 2 was finished, and
Batgirl
Batgirl
film
was finished,
done.
and they're not showing them because it's cheaper for me. I make more money if I
Tax write-off.
I shell this as a tax write-off.
Yeah.
Well, apparently that's not enough, and so they're now looking to sell half of Warner Brothers movie and music library.
You and I talked about this.
So that which also includes Batman, the Batman
'cause
franchise.
You and I talked about how DC might just be.
Yeah, I don't think DC's going to last very long. Under this as a company, we
Like
may
they're-
not.
Do you think they're going to be sold off in pieces the old '90s Marvel way, or
I think they may just be shut down. Because they've got the IP, they can do whatever they want with the IP. But like, comics are not a big seller.
No, I mean
Disney used comics as a path to make new product. It's like idea factory.
yeah.
Like Marvel is the house of ideas. So comics don't do. I mean, they do okay, but
Do you
like,
think for DC's future is it all running off James Gunn and what?
I think they're.
how
I
that
mean,
does?
I think they're just gonna go strictly movie. Like, I think there's a world where, Warner Brothers asks itself, do we need to print comics?
Yeah. Oh, okay. So you're
I-
talking about the comic side.
I'm just particularly comic books itself.
Yeah.
So and I think it's different with Disney because I think Marvel sales are a little better, and I think Disney is more solvent, so
Yeah.
they can make.
I mean,
those
yeah,
decisions.
they can afford to
But
take a
but
loss.
if Warner Brothers is losing a lot of money, you're looking at like DC, which is like
Yeah.
it's not a big cash cow. It's like
Yeah.
but it makes IP that.
Yeah.
But the actual IP it comes from doesn't sell,
Yeah.
and so it's gonna be real interesting.
AT&T doesn't exactly bring in the money that, and Discovery don't exactly make the money they
Right,
used
right,
to.
right. And so now the real question is like, if Warner Brothers sells half their library, their film and music library, who's going to buy it? And it's been Sony who's been sniffing around.
Yeah, we've been
So Sony may end up owning Batman, which I think is
Sony's always
fascinating.
looking for more stuff. Because Sony's on the up and up. I mean,
Sony's done, regardless how you feel about the films, Spider-Man films do well.
Yep.
And
and anything Spider-Man related. 'cause
Minus
like,
Morbius.
Like more, I mean,
I don't think Craven's going to do well either. But
Yeah,
I think Craven's mistake is being an R-rated film.
yeah, and well, it's an R-rated film, and then of course I think they're gonna blame the fact that it doesn't do well on the R rating.
Absolutely. I think.
Which I that is unfortunate because I'm hoping they don't blame it on the R rating because if they don't, then we get Venom 3R because that's what we've heard is the next move if this does okay.
But I think it's too little, too late. Like you get basically PG-13s, and they're basically light 13s too. So they're barely
Because really, Venom 2 should have been at least the R.
right. But
'Cause
like
Venom 1, I'm fine with the PG-13.
No, Venom 1. Look, if you're gonna make an R-rated franchise, you make an R-rated franchise. You don't pussyfoot around it. You don't be like, we're PG-13 over here, and then we'll get into an R. It doesn't make sense to do it that way. Deadpool knew exactly what it was when he made it.
I think it's easier to go from a PG-13 to R than the other way around.
No, absolutely. That's why R's go.
That's why you can't.
Actually, no, I'll disagree with that. I'll tell you
That's
what.
why Deadpool 3 can't be PG-13 even though it's Disney now.
But I'll just no.
Yeah.
But I would disagree with that because we're used to R-rated films, PG-13 on TV, because that's where they basically live. The edits are PG-13.
Yeah.
And so I mean, I think as a culture we're used to that. So I mean,
I just think it's harder to go the reverse only because
advertising wise, I mean, I think people would poo-poo it, but like
I think Deadpool is my example because I think if Deadpool had started PG-13, because you can't make a PG-13 Deadpool, and I've made arguments for it before. Ultimate Spider-Man proved you can make a PG Deadpool.
It's on TNT. You can make a PG-13. I mean,
Yeah.
Deadpool edits are on TV, don't it?
Yeah.
television. So
Yeah, he was on Ultimate Spider-Man, a Disney XD TV show. So you can do PG-13, and I've always argued that Deadpool 1 did not need to be rated R.
oh, it's fun that way.
But
I
like what we've gotten, and I
Look-
don't think you can do the reverse.
look. I will say that as a fan of superhero movies, I like the
Just
fact
make the rating that it needs to be.
I'm happy that there are a lot of them and there's a variety, but there also is room to make superhero movies for grown-ups.
Yep, there is.
And so Watchmen,
That's
Deadpool,
that's definitely not my argument. Yeah.
and so but I mean that's there's room for it, and so not everything has to be made for 13-year-old white
no,
kids
no.
in Illinois. And so or in the Midwest or Ohio.
Yeah.
And so
According
that's-
to what I'm looking at, Morbius made its money, actually. It was on a 75 to 83 million budget with a 167.5 million box office worldwide.
so barely break even
Barely breaking
because you
even,
gotta think about its advertising cost is
Yeah.
it's half of that.
I mean, it's probably enough for Sony to not be against making more because we know they're not. They're making Craven, and then they're
Yeah, but I doubt we'll get another Morbius. I'd be surprised if we get one.
yeah. I mean, right now, Madam Web and Venom 3 are the only things on the upcoming.
Madam Web is a weird
And
choice.
then they just canceled Hypno Hustler, but that's because of deals with Marvel Studios.
Yeah.
Because it involves. This is going to require an Across the Spider-Verse spoiler.
Wait, no. When didn't Donald Glover was going to do that one?
That's why it's an Across the Spider-Verse
Yeah,
spoiler.
wait. He's in. Look, spoiler. He's in.
Yeah, I'm putting my spoiler warning up now. I got a little banner for it.
He's in it. Ooh.
He's in it as him as Prowler.
Prowler, because it's the multiverse movie.
Prowler. We are led to assume it's the Spider-Man Homecoming universe, Aaron Davis.
Yeah.
Because it's a live action Donald Glover in the animated universe, which I love that.
I did not care for Into the Spider-Verse as much as it's fine.
You mean Across or Into?
No, the new one.
Okay.
The first one. The first one.
Into, yeah.
Yeah, Into. And I've been vocal about that. I like you guys love it. That's great. It's a fine movie. It's animated beautifully. You deserve to win the Oscar. I'm all on that. But for me, it was like, okay, it's a Spider-Man movie. I'm like, I don't have the attachment to Spider-Man like a lot of people do. However, that being said, Across is brilliant.
Yeah.
Across is just, I mean, it's kind of everything I wanted in the first one that I got. And so I like the story, and I'm looking forward to when I'm like 90 and the third one comes out.
And I love that where Spider-Man No Way Home makes all of the live-action Spider-Man films canon. Across the Spider-Verse makes every Spider-Man canon.
Right, because it's a multiverse. You can do that.
So it makes the comics canon, makes 67 Spider-Man TV show canon.
which is great.
And,
That's what it should be.
Yeah.
Last thing before I go.
Yeah.
So they're talking Spider-Man stuff. I was having this conversation at work, and I am Marvel's is almost 15 years old. Studio's almost 15.
Yeah. Marvel Studios, yeah.
And I am disappointed highly that we still have no X-Men. Like a good Marvel
Yeah.
Cinematic Universe
Like, we know
X-Men.
it's coming, but
Why is it taking... No one cares about Eternals.
And then Fantastic Four, they're dealing with recasting again.
Yeah, I heard that. I heard no Adam Driver.
Yeah.
I heard...
I don't know why they aren't just going with what they already gave us in Doctor Strange.
Because he doesn't want to do it. He turned it down.
Okay.
And then I hear we'll get Matt Smith. It's what I read this morning.
Matt Smith?
Yeah, as Reed.
He's definitely not even in my top 5.
He's also too old.
Well, it depends how old they want to go, but yeah.
Well, if Margot is an Invisible Woman, he's too old.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's not the widest age gap for a Reed and Sue I've ever seen.
they're closer in age than most people think. And
Yeah, I know. But I've definitely seen the weird age gaps before.
But Matt Smith can do it because he's basically gonna be a more aloof and busy Doctor Who.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he can play it. So I mean, I like Matt Smith.
He's just not in my top 5.
I like David Tennant better, but
Yeah.
in my hooves. I will give you your show back. Thank you for letting me
Yeah.
come in for a second, talk about Jabba and Oben and stuff.
Your mom says that X-Men has always been her favorite. It's the reason she's a Marvel person.
Seth's mom is amazing.
Well, that would certainly explain why, like, as a child, we had, like, all the old, like, X-Men movies.
Oh yeah.
And that is probably where, like, a lot of my love for, that
Like
comes
comic
from.
book movies.
Yeah.
I mean, the
also,
first-
I have, like,
The first two classic X-Men films
Yeah.
are great.
Yeah.
A lot of
Fucking-
a lot of in X-Men 2.
I don't hate 3 too much.
And
Three's not
three's
as
not
bad
no,
as
it's not as bad as
people
people remember it.
say.
Yeah, I know. But you're an X-Men guy. So
I'm an X-Men guy, so I have to come back. All right, so I don't hate all of 3. There's some.
There are moments
Elliot
where,
Page
like,
is
this is a
as Kitty Pryde is the best part of it.
Yeah.
But
I think it's the combining of the Cure storyline with the
Phoenix.
storyline is where it gets really like pick one of those storylines.
Yeah, pick a storyline and pick Phoenix. Don't pick the Cure. No one cares.
The Cure's a good storyline, but it's not. It's hard to film it.
Yeah, it's also not interesting.
It's the only one that's sparked.
It's almost
So-
it's almost the unfilmable storyline.
Me and Annalise, because me and my sister sat down and watched all, like, 3 of the X-Men films.
Hmm.
And that's the only one where we have, like, had a hard argument between us about, like, a movie. And it's in regards to, like, Kitty Pryde. And she's like, I want to go and get the Cure because everyone I touch
Oh,
dies.
no, not Kitty. That's
Rogue.
Rogue.
Rogue, sorry.
Yeah.
I got them confused.
No, it's easy to because
They almost look
because Rogue should have been Kitty, and that's Kitty's. Rogue fills the Kitty spot in the movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and
like-
they went with Rogue instead of Kitty.
That is the most heated argument I have ever had with my sister. Because she's like, that's a really cool power. And I'm like, yeah, but it sucks.
I will say,
I know that's not how it works in the comics.
no, but
In the comics, it's also worse because usually, 9 times out of 10, if there's a cure, it's actually a trap.
Yeah,
This storyline in particular, it wasn't, but
it wasn't.
Rogue and Gambit were captured in the Arctic or the Antarctic in the
'cause
early.
isn't this one based off the Joss Whedon comic storyline version?
Uh-uh.
Because he does a cure storyline too. at
Yeah, this
some
is
point.
more God Loves Man Kills,
Okay.
and then Dark Phoenix, and they screw up Dark Phoenix. The guy who wrote and directed Dark Phoenix did also 3, so he's had 2 shots at this story and still screws it up.
Well, aren't they also all produced by the guy who's also worked Star Wars?
Yeah.
The reason that what's his name from Fan Four Stick got fired from Star Wars.
Well, Fan Four Stick is terrible.
Yeah, I like there's a good half a movie there. And
Yeah, the
then-
first 45 minutes is great, and then the
once
rest
you hit
of
the
it-
1 year jump.
and then that guy's follow-up film is terrible.
Because I haven't watched it yet.
Yeah, you don't have to. It's terrible. It's an Al Capone movie,
The
but
Al Capone
but it's
film.
the last 2 years of his life when he has syphilis and going crazy. It's like, yeah, that's what I want in my gangster films. I want to see Tom Hardy running around with a minigun and a diaper, going, oh. That's in the movie, folks. That's a scene.
But your views on, because you wanted to give your views on X-Men: The Last Stand.
I said, I think I like Elliot Page is great, and I like what's his face is Angel,
Oh yeah,
and
that opening scene when
he's trying to cut his wings.
Yeah,
it's great.
so
and then,
good.
But there's a lot of missteps and stuff, and the Juggernaut should never been a mutant.
They should have
I'm the Juggernaut.
If they were going to do the Cure storyline, they should have focused on 1 or 2 of the main mutant cast. And I would have said keep it focused on Angel and Rogue.
Oh, would have done Nightcrawler or Beast.
Well, since they set up Angel as like
Right, yeah, but like Beast is Hank's always like in.
Beast
in
is always looking for a cure. Yeah,
Okay, Hank hasn't had that big problems. He's a big blue.
yeah. Jennifer, Seth's mom.
Hey,
Fantastic
Jennifer.
Four had potential, but it just fell off hard. And yes, that's exactly
45 minutes in that movie, I was like, what am I watching?
Simon Kinberg. That's the name of the producer for
Terrible,
X-Men.
terrible man.
And then he thinks he can write better, which is where he decides to direct Dark Phoenix, and Dark Phoenix is the worst of all
yeah,
the
because
X-Men films?
he wrote.
He wrote Apocalypse, which Apocalypse I didn't.
No, he also wrote X3. X3 he wrote.
Yeah. Wait, that wasn't Brett Ratner's?
No,
writing?
no, he wrote it, and then like he.
'Cause this is also where we switched directors
Right.
for the first time in
So
X-Men.
so he writes Dark Phoenix and he writes and he directs. So he gets 2 bites at the apple, and this time he's fully in charge.
Because he's also
and
a
he's-
producer.
And he still
So he's-
and
yeah.
then he still screws it up. The Dark Phoenix saga is not as complicated as most people think it is.
No.
No, it's not, and you just have to establish, like Marvel had to come to the decision: is the Phoenix Force a manifestation of Jean Grey's psyche, or is it a cosmic force? And Marvel has deemed that it's a cosmic force.
Yeah.
So you do the cosmic force story, and it's done.
Which Dark Phoenix tried to do the alien side of it.
Sure,
which,
but they
Which, yeah.
they bring in Jessica Chastain as Emma Frost, not Emma Frost.
Yeah,
She's actually one of
because-
the Bari the.
Because no version of Dark Phoenix has ever done the Hellfire Club with.
Absolutely, because you need the Hellfire Club. You need Sebastian Shaw and Master. All of
And
them
you
have
need
the
to
vision.
have my favorite scene in the comics is when Cyclops is in the mine field and
Yep.
he's fighting with the swords, and you get the duel, and it's
and
because I'm a Cyclops fan.
Right.
I will defend Cyclops.
look, as a friend, as a fan of Rachel Summers, I like Cyclops.
I will
He's her
defend
daddy.
Cyclops because a lot of people view Cyclops as, oh, he's just that asshole. And the movies have not helped with that perception.
Krakoa era Scott is amazing, and I highly recommend. If you've not read Krakoa era,
Yeah,
Scott's
current-
great in that.
I mean, yeah, the current era of Scott is realizing that Professor X was the bad guy.
no, we're past that.
Oh yeah,
Oh, we're way past
yeah. 'Cause,
that.
like we had like Scott went through this transformation of realizing he was basically a child soldier, and he was abused by Professor X.
Right.
And
Well,
that was
but
his-
that's 15 years. That's Utopia area, and so we're way past it. Krakoa era is like.
But now he's realized like, oh yeah, we should be.
Well, he's like the rest of them. Is like, hey, we're people, and we have a country now, and
Yeah.
we're gonna do the best we can for our people.
Yeah.
And so he's very pro like mutant stuff.
But I mean, even '90s Cyclops, I'll defend because, like, I think he's not wrong in the animated series whenever he confronts Wolverine.
no, he's
most
not
of the time.
No.
But people will say, "Oh, he's just a dick," and I'm like, "No."
Well, the problem with '90s Cyclops is no one knew how to write him, and so he didn't really get interesting. Grant Morrison made him interesting in 2000.
Yeah, and then like the movies didn't help though because they stuck with the
Right.
Cyclops is just an asshole.
Right. They just James Marsden, who's great. He was fine in it.
Which he's a great. I like him. Yeah. So I mean, I like Cyclops. He's a team leader, and sometimes you have to be a jerk to your teammates to kind of make the point.
Right.
And as
Okay.
a leader, you got to make the tough decisions.
All right, go have your show. I'm walking out the door now.
Yeah, we're gonna.
I'm
yeah.
leaving. Bye.
And I'll see you after.
Don't mention the thing. I'm just gonna walk.
Yeah. Edge of balance.
Yeah. We should probably get,
Yeah. Because we are
that
now,
was a fun conversation. I wish we had more time to
Yeah.
talk about.
but we don't.
that.
So let's talk about our main topic.
Yes.
We get off. If this is your first time watching the Star Wars podcast, we get off, which we might be getting new fans because
Yeah.
Facebook and Kick now. We do get off topic like this often.
Yes.
This is the only podcast on our network, as we mentioned. So
Yeah.
we kind of just whatever we feel like, but Star Wars is our main bread and butter.
Yep.
So now we're going to talk about Edge of Balance Precedent.
Yes.
So this is your spoiler warning now.
We're
For
gonna spoil the
that.
hell out of this.
yeah.
Do you have a favorite moment from this one?
It's a rough one to get through, but
Oh, all right.
I mean, I just kind of like getting more Arkoff.
Yeah.
So the premise of this one, just to kind of lay down the groundwork here,
Yep.
is it's our next piece of, I guess technically
The puzzle.
well, it's the next piece of the puzzle, but it's also phase 2, phase 3
Yeah.
content at the same time. It's phase 2 because it's mostly a flashback to the phase 2 era during the Battle of Donna. But there is a present day storyline that's after the Banshee invasion, once the Nihil have taken over. And we learn about this mercenary that's working with them. And he's I'm trying to remember the name of the spider species and
Harch.
oh yeah, the Harch, yeah. Which if you ever watch Clone Wars, there's a main Harch villain. I'm trying to get it to stand, but it just doesn't want to work with me. But yeah, there's a Harch, which are like these. If you've never read Star Wars comics with them, or you've never watched Clone Wars, they're kind of like these spider humanoids. They've got they got everything. They're terrifying.
Yeah, if you're not
if you don't like
big
spiders,
on spiders, you might not like this one. I
Yeah.
didn't understand that they were supposed to be a spider person, so I was just like, oh well.
but he
but I'm
looks
also-
exactly like a spider. But as a
With
person,
hindsight, yeah. I was just like, I don't
he's
know
got
what
the-
you are.
he's got the eyes. He's got the
My brain just thought, oh, you got like 6 arms. That's pretty cool.
Thanks for the love, Gamermaid TV. How you doing?
Yeah.
But yeah, the
It's-
hearts are there, and I like this villain actually a lot.
Yeah. He's just so like casual about everything.
He's just like, look, I'm getting paid. I'm just here to get money and do my job. Then get out of here. Man knows what he's about.
Yeah.
He's a mercenary,
Like I'm just
but he's also been alive long enough to have already faced Arkoff before.
Yeah.
So he's one of the few who actually knows what he's doing, because he's got like
150
yeah, like he,
years of experience.
yeah, and so he actually knows what he's looking for specifically on Banshee, because he's heard rumors about it, and he learns about this droid that's buried there.
Yep.
Because it turns out,
And Markion is conscripted, hired,
yeah,
whatever
Mark,
Markion chooses to do.
because Markian's hired him to find this, because he also kind of knew there's
It's
something
like
here.
I know there's something here, but I don't have the time to find it myself, so guess you'll do.
And also, we're running out of Nihil numbers, so we
Yeah.
gotta, because we've been letting a lot of my guys die
Yeah.
on purpose.
Yep.
And so I really like the present day storyline.
Yeah.
So the Harch finds this
Old.
old droid
Yeah.
that's been buried here by Arkoff, because Banshee is basically we now realize why Banshee's important, because we didn't like in volumes 1 and 2 of Edge of Balance, we had no idea,
It's like, what the hell is going?
because Banshee was
it's
like the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. It's just some backwater planet.
We now know it's important because of what Arkoff brought with him when he established the Jedi Temple here, along with Sav, because Sav also knew about it.
Yeah.
And because once again, Sav is also old enough to have been
Yep.
in Phase 2 of the High Republic, as well as Phase 1.
Yeah.
Uh,
I wouldn't say Sav's like
You also haven't read High Republic Adventures for this phase yet,
Yeah.
so
I wouldn't say Sav's like my least favorite Jedi.
you just don't know a lot about
I don't
her
know
to
a
care.
lot, so
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah. It happens.
Yeah.
I mean, once we get into adventures, you might find
I
an
might
appreciation.
change, or I might not.
Yeah. You're also just a big Wookiee Jedi fan, so
Yeah.
like, this is good for you because Arkoff's here.
Yeah.
But we get the flashback to the Battle of Donna, where Arkoff and our poor boy Aslan Rail,
Aslan Rail has gone through it.
because we get another perspective of the Battle of Donna.
Everyone else,
Battle of Donna is kind of similar to what, for Phase 1, the Fall of Starlight Beacon has been.
yeah,
Battle of Dawn has been that, where we have to have like 5 different perspectives of it, which I don't mind because it's a big event,
yeah,
and it's like they're continuing to have the puzzle pieces for what the Nihil are going to be up to in Phase 3 hidden within that puzzle. And I think it's just going to be, how do we destroy the Jedi?
they're like, we gotta.
Because I think the Republic, while Markion's declared war on them,
He doesn't.
he doesn't care about the
them.
Republic. It's the Jedi he wants to take down.
It's like, I don't give a fuck about
The only reason
Republic.
that the
The
Republic
only
is,
reason I care about the Republic is because they keep siding with the Jedi and
That-
coming out here.
yeah, if the Republic's basically in the crossfire
Yeah.
of this. And he's like, well, you've chosen to work with the Jedi, so you're my enemy by default.
Yeah.
Now, the puzzle piece of why the Rose feel the Jedi are so
Yeah.
against them is now a new puzzle piece, because I thought that was going to be solved in Path of Vengeance. But in fact, Path of Vengeance made it a question. Because by the end of Path of Vengeance, I'm like, wait, none of the Rose hate the Jedi. What's going on?
Yeah.
In fact, they hate any group that would be the opposite of the Jedi, which is like using the Force to manipulate people, which is not really what the Jedi do. Because that's like Marta's whole thing of why she keeps the Nameless, is so that way she can go after people who would use the Force to manipulate, like the Mother did. And so I'm like, wait, how do we go from this to Markion?
What happened?
Well, because Asgar didn't care about the Jedi,
Yeah.
and then also, for those of y'all watching on Twitch, we got an ad break. Sorry about that. But thank you for supporting us.
Yes.
Uh,
So yeah, it's
if anything, it's creating more questions than answers for me.
to me. I'm just like, I just don't like the Jedi.
But it's like, where does
So,
this
like, such
hatred
an
come from?
extreme thing.
Yeah. I do like that my prediction that the lightsaber that Markion has is Kevmo's. Because that's basically confirmed. Because a lot of people said, well, it's likely not Kevmo's because it has that sizzling thing when Markion has it.
Yeah.
Like the Kylo sizzle.
Yeah. But the sizzle's been explained.
But yeah, the sizzle has now been explained that it's because Marta banged her lightsaber against the wall.
Like, she got really mad.
And so now we know where the sizzle comes from, and I like that my prediction of that was correct. And it makes sense.
Yeah.
It makes sense that the Kevmo lightsaber got passed down over the generations. And then what's the name of Asgar's mom? The one who creates that really is the formation of the Nihil.
God.
She's Marta's daughter, I believe, is the
She'd have
lineage.
to be.
I believe that's the
But
lineage.
I don't.
Because we're getting a short story about her, and in that short story collection that's coming out later. That's gonna be like higher volume phase 2 and 3 stuff. And I think that a couple of friends and I think that's gonna explain maybe where the hatred comes from, but it doesn't it also still doesn't make sense because she doesn't seem to have it in the comics when we see her before Asgard kills her.
Yeah.
With a push out the window. Asgard's like, I'm in charge of Nihil now.
Yep.
Shala.
Yeah, it's.
And we know where Mari Santeca comes from now. But back to this though. Because it's filling in a lot of those gaps.
Yeah.
Because we now know why Banshee was we now know why Edge of Balance is important.
Yes.
Because we didn't. We just knew that the Nihil attacked Banshee, and that's really about it.
Yeah.
We now know why. And it's because so you'll have to remind me. I know the droid. So it has a database of all this knowledge of what happened at the Battle of Dalna.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember if that's all that they needed from it, though.
I think that might be it.
I think. Oh, and also like the cave that's on Dalna is like, but the droid doesn't know what happened in the cave, but it knows like
that too.
Yeah. So because like Aslan and Arkoff both get lost in this cave at different points. Aslan, we also know, has a separate journey that happens in the middle of events in this.
Yeah.
Because Aslan starts the manga with Arkoff, and then in between gets lost in the cave, and then the events of Path of Vengeance happen with him and Maddie at some point. And then we end it with him rejoining with Arkoff after the events of Path of Vengeance.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's already doing the Shri Karai Karai stuff.
Yeah.
And we know something happened in the cave where both him and Arkoff saw these terrible things. And maybe it's a nameless, but it's not represented the same way as a nameless normally is. Like, it's this dark, evil tree spirit looking thing. I know it's a little far away, but it's that.
As I understand it, while reading,
I think there's like a darkness in that cave.
That's not what I saw it as.
Yeah, okay.
That is, as I understand it, to Aslan, what Arkoff looked like
in
under the Nameless's influence, which is why he freaks the fuck out.
But
every
we
time
also
Arkoff
see that.
comes back.
But we also see that Arkoff dealt with something similar, but he didn't like. Well, no, Arkoff felt something off.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's weird because like it's not. Because I don't think there was a Nameless around.
There were a bunch of them, man.
But I mean, at that like around them at that particular point. And then we know there's not one when they're at the end.
It's true.
Because he sees them that way. Because the one I showed is at the end of the manga where he's already at the Santorium. But also, Aslan's brain has been scrambled completely by the time. But we do have the present day story where, I think I'm trying to remember because I didn't get to read it again. Because you had my copy. Yeah, in the present day story, him and Arkoff and him go head to head. The Harch and Arkoff face. No, it's just Harch and the droid. No, Arkoff does show up at the end.
Arkoff does show up at the end. And go back to that picture real quick.
Of just Arkoff's.
Yeah.
That's such a good poster moment.
It is. But, like, looking at the facial expression, I have never seen someone who is more sad to be in the spot that they are in at that moment.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't look mad. He doesn't look happy.
Well, yeah, because his droid friend is hurt.
Almost dead, yeah.
Yeah. And then
like,
Sav.
It's almost like, man, I don't want to fucking be here. But it'll be all right.
But yeah, apparently though, whatever is on the droid
is
important because they say they're taking it back to Coruscant.
Yep. Speaking of things,
which Lily says they're not going.
Sav is like, by the way, Lily's not going back to Coruscant. She's refused.
Yeah, because she wants to continue to defend Banshee.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. Banshee's her home.
Yeah.
Like, by the end of Volume 1, it's her home.
Yeah.
And then Volume 2, her home gets devastated. Like, because at the beginning of Volume 1, she didn't really have a connection to Banshee.
Yeah, she's just like, I'm here because it's my job to be here.
But by the
kind of recovering.
But by the end of Volume 1, it's become her home. She's come to know the people that live there that aren't Jedi. Like, she comes to know the people. And then one of the people betrays her.
Yep.
And kills her apprentice. And I think part of that's also part of why she's staying is out of vengeance.
Yeah.
I think
spawn in as Annihilate or immediately kill.
Because I think there's a darkness that's going to be growing with her that she might have to overcome in Phase 3. Because she's going to want vengeance for that. Mm-hmm. And because we see a hint of that in Volume 2. In Volume 2, we get a hint of that, and Sav holds her off from going through with it.
Yeah.
And I think she has that in her for the moment, and she wants to go after those that killed her apprentice. And while she can't go after the specific person,
She's like,
I'll take down the Nihil as a whole.
either that or she's like, well, I know that the Nihil are gonna show up here eventually, so if I just keep waiting here eventually.
Well, it's not even eventually. They're still here. Because that's where the whole present-day story takes place.
I know, but it is very funny of, like, eventually I'll get the right one.
I don't think it's about getting the right one. I think it's just
No, it's just
any Nihil.
any of them? Alright, cool.
Any particular... I mean, I like the fight... the flashback fight between the Harch and Arkoff.
Mhm.
I think that's one of my favorite
Yeah.
moments. Because it's just these two big guys going wall for wall up.
Yeah. I do like Arkoff's master.
Oh, yeah.
And, like, god, the old lady, and she's just like, yo, Arkoff, you need to leave.
I also,
now.
I also like that in the present day part of the story, the droid is having malicious compliance with the Harch. It's like, I'll answer your questions, but I'm going to be a little bit malicious about it because I don't like you.
Yeah. Fuck you.
Fuck
I'll
you.
tell you what you want, but
Fuck you. Overall, the mangas are a situation of if you have been skipping these for the High Republic, you're missing out on some really good content. While they might not 100% directly connect, I think they have important connections still, but they're also separated enough that if you
Yeah.
just wanted to read these without reading any other High Republic material, you
You'd
could.
be fine.
Yeah. Like, if you're just a fan of mangas and you want a Star Wars manga, there's 3 now, at least of High Republic. I mean, there's also Lost Stars adaptation manga. There's a Princess of Alderaan
Yeah.
adaptation. There's a few other adaptations, I think. There's Rebels manga.
Mm.
Oh,
And there's the like Ronin short story manga.
oh, yeah. Wait, there's a manga?
The
Ronin Star Wars Visions hasn't done a manga yet. They've done a comic because they did the one shot. Is that what you're talking about?
yeah, I think so.
With the crazy old man.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a comic.
Remember that time the fucking force struck a guy with lightning?
Apparently there's also a Mandalorian manga.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's I
There's
mean
a
for
few of them.
for canon there's plenty of options. There's also a lot of Legends ones that existed for a while. But for canon there's a lot of good options.
Oh man. Like
But yeah, I really enjoyed this one. It's another good High Republic piece of material. I mean, High Republic hasn't let me down yet.
everyone else on like in Dalna is like in the trenches. Meanwhile, Aslan's over here dealing with like a fucking cosmic horror story.
Yeah. Aslan's like
And
going. Aslan's dealing
Everyone
with the old
else is
gods.
in like World War One, and Aslan is dealing with the old gods.
Let's see.
Oh,
So that is it for this week. I've had to make some changes to the schedule again
oh,
because there was a short story, a Tales of Enlightenment short story that came out that we
good.
haven't talked about yet. So next week, that's what we're going to talk about.
Okay.
I think it's the last Tales of Enlightenment short story we're going to get
Oh,
because it is the end of Phase 2.
well, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry about your bar, Creighton. I know it's been kind of wrecked the last couple.
Well, they're putting it back together. They're working
Yeah.
on it. But next week,
they fucking
instead of the Star Wars 2020 Volume 5 comic, we're going to talk about Tales of Enlightenment Last Orders.
Mm.
And then the week after that, we'll be back on track with everything else I said.
yeah.
So, I give this an 8, a solid B.
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
It's a solid B material. Like, it does its job a little bit better than just okay. Like, it goes past the standard. But it's not, it's not anything to write home about. Like, it's enough that
Yeah.
like, if you like mangas, I'll. But I do say if you're into the High Republic, you shouldn't be skipping it. I don't think you should be skipping any content in the High Republic, personally, if you're a High Republic fan. Now, of course, I understand if you have to pick and choose because money, but financially, you have to make choices. But if you were allowed to not make choices financially and had just complete financial freedom, I feel like you should not be skipping anything High Republic if you're a High Republic fan. So that's it for this week. This one's gonna be weird because we are on 4 places now.
Yep.
Thank you all for watching. If you are watching on YouTube, which is youtube.com/Escape Reality Films, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel, and feel free to comment down below. If you are watching on Twitch, twitch.tv/Escape Reality Films, be sure to follow or subscribe. If you are watching on Kick, as we are now on, which is kick.com. I don't know what Kick does. I'm new to Kick, so let me see what they do. But the other one is my Facebook. Follow. That's the only thing I really care about on my Facebook. So if you're watching on Facebook, it's facebook.com/Caleb.Lockwood. Just follow. Anything beyond that's weird. Just follow. Give us a like. Comment. All that. Anything past that, though, I'm not looking for on Facebook. Hold on. Let me see. I'm trying to figure out what Kick does. What they call their things. So you can... I guess you can follow. Let me see. Hold on. Yeah, followers. So yeah, follow. Feel free to follow and become a part of the community there on kick.com/Escape Reality Films. And then we're also on I'm also on TikTok. Oh, yeah. I mean, the thing is, we don't come up with the grade till the end.
Yeah.
Gives y'all a reason to watch the video. But I get what you're saying, though, yeah. But yeah, I'm also on TikTok at Escape Reality Films, where I do whatever I feel like for the day. I think I have a video idea for today. So I have a little short. It's also gonna go up on my Facebook and Instagram and YouTube. So I got an idea though for my short for today. You can also...
Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm just brainstorming everything that I'm having to... Streaming. I'm going to take a pause from my Mass Effect 3 run because Baldur's Gate 3 decided that it's going to come out earlier than it's being moved up to coming out earlier than it was. It is now August 3rd that it's coming out instead of near the end of August. So
it jumped up a few weeks.
So now all my streaming days are going to be me just playing Baldur's Gate, Siege of Dragonspear, and Baldur's Gate 2. So we'll work on that, and because I gotta finish those games again before BG3 comes out, and then I don't know what I'm gonna do for BG3 yet, because I don't know if I want to do an origin character or if I want to do my own character, because you can play as certain party members that they call origin characters, where they have their own backstory already made, and so like some of the origin characters are like you can play as Asterion, the vampire, rogue. You can play as Will. You can play as Gale. Most of the origin characters are the ones that have been available as your party members so far. But they've also announced Karlach as an origin character now, which I kind of predicted she'd be a companion. Karlach's a character you can run into in the BG3 early access.
Okay.
She's a tiefling who's from El Terrell and was in El Terrell when that thing happens to El Terrell.
Oh, shit.
And she just got back from that place.
I see.
I'm trying to avoid spoilers for anybody who hasn't played the Descent into Avernus campaign, because that contains spoilers for that, and it's also kind of spoilers for BG3, so I'm keeping it vague. I'm a big RPG and D&D fan, so in case y'all didn't catch that near the beginning of the podcast, I like my Forgotten Realms. Other things. Shout out to Mopcast Network and Cult Movie Cantina, which Scotty was here earlier. He is the person in charge of that. I co-host and co-produce with them for it. And Cult Movie Cantina is their main show where we talk about cult movies and drink and show them to somebody who hasn't seen them before. This week is Silence of the Lambs. Hello, Clarice.
Hmm.
We're gonna talk about Silence of the Lambs since we talked about Manhunter a couple weeks ago. So, because we're talking about the sequel to Manhunter, technically.
Yeah. Oh God. You've reminded me of another conversation we've had, but we don't.
Yeah,
have enough time.
So you can find Cult Movie Cantina on it's Mopcast Network on any podcasting app. You can also find them on youtube.com/Mopcast Network, where you can see our pretty faces, including mine. And
I won't be there.
No.
You'll see the rest of the crew.
Yep. So you'll see Scotty and Stephanie and Justina and myself. And then you can also find them on facebook.com/Cult Movie Cantina. And they're also on TikTok at Mopcast Network, where you can see some of Scotty's stuff. He just watched Indiana Jones. I think he did a review of it on TikTok. I don't know, actually, if he did or not. I know we've been doing some more stuff, though, for that. Like we had some fun facts about Billie Jean, Legends of Billie Jean, since that was a movie we did a few weeks back, or a couple months ago. And so some fun facts about that, including the fact that Helen and Christian Slater are not, in fact, related, even though everybody thinks they are because same last name and in a movie together as brother and sister. That's one out of the 5 facts in that video that you should go check out. Also, if you're in the Mobile, Alabama area, check out Gamers and Geeks, which is our local gaming store, which is on Moffett and House Ferry, and they've got all your gaming needs. And we also what else am I Engage Gaming, which is a video game kind of in-store rental house type deal where you can pay an hourly rate and you can play some Xbox, PS5, PC, or even VR. And you just stay inside the store. They'll let you play on their consoles, and you just pay per hour. And if you do a monthly membership fee, it's a reduced hourly rate. And you can also plan events with them, I think. So if you have like a birthday event coming up and you want to do something fun for like your kid, and they're a big gamer, something cool to think about. Anything else on the outside stuff?
Think so. I think I got it.
And then the only thing I'm missing on our stuff is our Patreon, which is another way that you can support us. Shout out to our Patreon member, Jennifer Brantley, who has been in the chat all day today. Thank you for coming and hanging out with us, and for supporting us on the Patreon. That is patreon.com/Escape Reality Films. If you are at the rate that Jennifer's at, which is our second tier, it's the $10 rate. It will get you a week early access of our YouTube content, as well as a shout out, and there's other cool things that you can get at the higher tiers. Manhunter, yeah. The other higher tiers include my books, actually. You can get them at a discounted rate if you go to one of the higher tiers where you get all 3 of my books. You also get access to my access to my early versions of the playtest for my tabletop game, which, speaking of, you can actually get the official system reference document for it now if you go to escaperealitybooks.weebly.com. I know I haven't paid Weebly to make it my own website yet. Okay, it's like having a cheap college student website.
Yeah.
But I'm proud of that website. Okay, it's got all my books. There's links to the Amazon links there if you go to that website too. If you're looking for the books separately and you don't want all 3. Super Worlds is now a hardcover title. It is my premiere author novel. It was my first one that I published. It is a sci-fi superhero war story. If you're into that, it's kind of an MCU film meets Star Wars, is the way I've described it. And I think from what I've heard from people that have read it, that's pretty fitting.
Fairly accurate.
Yeah, fairly accurate.
It's also not surprising considering that you love both of those.
I tend to write what I love.
Yeah.
I mean, I take homage from what I love. And then we got The Coat Wars, which is my short story collection, which is based in the Superworld setting. And it's 10 short stories within that setting that are different styles of writings that I've done. So I have one that's a first-person story. I have one that's almost like a computer-like log. And then I've got one that's like almost like a in-universe biography of a character. So that I test my writing styles with that one. And then lastly, Time Ninja, which is not in the same exact setting as Superworlds. It is on Earth, in fact, and it is a time travel ninja story set in mostly in it's not even mostly in the feudal Japan. It's actually in almost the beginning of time, because our main character almost goes to the beginning of time, where he learns from the very first, what I call them, time controllers, about his abilities and how to control them and take on the samurai that killed his family, who is also a time controller. I've kind of said I haven't found the exact way to pitch this one. It's Highlander with the fantasy elements and the rules making of Highlander with a time travel narrative. I haven't figured out the exact type of time travel movie that would fit my pitch. If somebody reads Time Ninja and comes up with a good time travel movie to compare it to, though, get in the comments and tell me. Or write a review on Amazon and leave what you think. But those are my 3 main books. But once again, you can also find my system reference document for the Super Universe role-playing game that I've released. I haven't released the core rule book yet, but the system reference document's out there, and it gives you basically all the rules you need to play the game. It just doesn't give you the setting rules, which is the same setting as Superworlds. So, because the way the system reference document is meant to be used, it's meant to allow you to legally be able to make your own campaigns and stuff using that document legally without having to get permissions from me. And be able to profit off your own original ideas using my reference document. The only thing that's universe specific that you now legally have use of is Nymerians and Ashwinians, because I could not figure out a way to genericify them. But everything else has been genericified to where y'all have legal use of that. Because that's what a system reference document's for. It's to allow you to be able to make your own campaign guides using my rules, or even make your own adventures.
Yeah.
And then you can profit off those, and I won't get a cent of it because it's yours. And it basically promotes creativity within the community, which I think it's very important to have that, and I think tabletop communities are always about that type of stuff. That's it. Oh, our Discord community.
Yes.
Speaking of communities, we also have a Discord. If you are watching on YouTube and Twitch, there are links to it. YouTube, it's linked down below in the little description box. Twitch, it's linked somewhere here on the main page. Everywhere else, it's not linked yet. Sorry. Because I don't know how to do that yet with Facebook and Kick. I will figure that out. But if you become a part of our Discord community, you can come hang out with us. We talk about anything nerdy. We also, when I do my table, because I run D&D games sometimes, when I do that, that is usually opened up a little bit to the public to at least listen to, even if you're not a part of. That way you can listen to it while we're playing it instead of waiting for the recording to come out, or never come out, as the case may be in one of those games. Because of the great fall. The great hard drive fall of 2023.
Well, eventually, hopefully, we'll get around to that Dawn game.
We'll do another game of it. Don't worry. Oh, Dawn of the Jedi, Star Wars game. Yeah, we'll get around to that as well. I believe that's everything on the Escape Reality Films end, and also on our main supporters end. But we also have your end of things where we've got the D&D game that you
I
are
might
part
be
of.
stepping away from that for a while.
Yeah.
However, the rest of the gang are not. So you can catch them over on Steam, all caps, _dungeon
on
twitch.tv from 5 to 7 Central Standard Time on Sundays.
Yep.
However, I don't think there will be a game.
Yeah,
this Sunday
it's 4th of July weekend, and
not because of that.
Really?
Yeah, because of a family matter that came up.
Gotcha.
So they won't be doing that this Sunday.
Yeah,
but
I mean, even then,
there's a bit of a backlog, so you can get all caught up on.
Yeah, do they leave
this
the
crazed
They leave the
lunatic-
VODs up there?
Yeah.
Okay, so the VODs are up there. If you want to start catching up on some of the adventures, I know they just started going back to downtime again.
Yes.
Which in D&D terms, downtime is when they go shopping and do the not major story event stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe there's some connecting dots to major story events, but usually nothing important happens during downtime.
Yep.
And then y'all just, before that downtime, y'all finished a big dinner party thing where there was a lot of tension between you and some antagonistic forces that y'all have dealt with before. And I'm not going to ruin it for those who want to catch up on the VODs of how that went down. But yeah.
So that's really it.
Yeah, once again, that's twitch.tv/Steam_dungeon from 5 to 7 Central on Sundays.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, we're doing a lot. We are trying to make this grow as much as possible.
Yeah.
That's why I wanted to grow the audience because I noticed that Facebook, we are getting an audience. And so I figured might as well start streaming the show there. And because when I post my shorts / reels, whatever you want to call them, on Facebook, usually before the end of the day, Facebook will notify me that it's been viewed 100 times already. And then usually before the end of the week, I'll get a notification that one of them has been viewed at least 1,000 times.
Oh.
And then I'll get a follower every couple weeks. And most of the and I'm talking people I have no idea who they are. I don't have mutual friends. Just somebody follows me because they saw a video.
All right.
And so figured expand the viewership here. And then as far as the Kick one, that's because Twitch has been dropping off for some people, and Kick is becoming the new bread and butter for people to go to. And I figured we can keep Twitch for now because I personally don't have any issues with Twitch. And I'll also just open Kick up as well because the more networks you have available, nothing wrong with that. More opportunity for somebody to see something that they might have missed. And then
I think that's everything for today.
Yeah. So yes,
We'll come back next week with some more Tekken lore.
But on the Star Wars side of things, next week, once again, is going to be a discussion on Tales of Enlightenment, Last Orders, which is possibly our last Tales of Enlightenment story.
Yeah.
More than likely, because Phase 2 is pretty much over. I think, like, in the next couple months, we're starting up Phase 3. I mean, because Phase 2 comics are done. Because High Republic Adventures just dropped the last 3 issues, I think, together.
I'll miss the Enlightenment bar.
I think we'll see, like, a modern day I think, because Phase 3, they're going to go back to Jeddah. They have to. Jeddah's important somehow, I think. Not as much as Donna.
No.
Donna and...
Well,
yeah.
Dalna's not around anymore.
Yeah. Anyways, see you all next week. Thank you all for watching. And have a good holiday weekend if you are celebrating.
Yeah.
And I know... And thank you for that.
Oh.
Yeah, we've been going over a year with this.
Yeah.
So, first season's not over yet though, because we haven't finished High Republic. All right,
We'll finish it.
Yeah, eventually, if they stop making it.
They stop making it.
I've spoken.
Have a happy 4th.